We're on record. Good morning. My name is Rita Marsh. I'm co-founder of the Center for Human Flourishing in Carbondale, Colorado. And I'm here this morning with an invited guest, our practitioner of the month, Michelle Bryan, who's a hypnotherapist with specialization in past life regression. Michelle has graciously offered to be our February guest, and also want to welcome into the room mutual friend Connie Baxter Marlowe, who's going to be listening in for a while and then may have to pop off. But I'm recording this interview with Michelle, and we hope to also make it live on Facebook here. And we'll see how that happens. If not, it will be available to audience in the future off W.N.Kent Center for Human Flourishing's Facebook page and also Michelle's Facebook page. So welcome, Michelle. I'm so happy to have you in our Zoom room here this morning.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you for having me.
I'm always interested when I talk to people, where did you land on the planet? And because we have a mutual understanding, where did you land on the planet this time around?
This time around, I landed in Minnesota and spent the first 22 years of my life in Minnesota, and actually the child of immigrants. My parents were both scientists who immigrated from former Yugoslavia. And so I grew up in a household deeply rooted in science.
And were you in the city? Were you in the country? What was the natural setting around you?
I grew up in the suburbs of St. Paul. My dad was a scientist and a chemist at 3M company and an inventor. He has 40 US patents. So he was a genius and very creative. Not always the easiest person to grow up around because he was quite demanding as both an immigrant and as a chemist. He had very high expectations for his children.
So in your early life, going through school and choosing a career, what drew you out into the world to be a person of service initially?
Well, interestingly enough, I experienced a lot of suicide early on in life. With my high school was very small, about the size of Basalt High School, and 400 students total. And for every year I was in high school, as a freshman to a senior, one of our students made the decision to take their own life. I think that had a huge early impact on me. And then many years later, my beloved niece, Monica, she also decided to take her own life due to shame of having been raped as a young girl and subsequent drug addiction. At 26, she killed herself with a gun, and that changed my life forever. It was at that moment that I really, said, okay, I feel like there's a pattern in my life of people close to me taking their life. And it sort of planted a seed of really wanting to help people feel just feel more mentally stable and secure about what this whole life experience is about. It was not at that time that I began to explore past life work or the the concept of karma and dharma, but it had a tremendous influence on me. And I feel like that's where the seed was planted for me to do what I'm doing today.
Well, those were very significant events. And obviously you held them within your being for a while before you found a path that was going to be able to take you into a place of amazing service for folks who are struggling with finding their way. When did you come to the Roaring Fork Valley?
I think I was 23 years old. I came in 1993. And my now husband basically asked me, he's like, why don't we go to ski a season in Aspen? And we had a job with the Aspen Snowmass Lodging Company and a place to live. And so we came here to ski and ended up staying. It's kind of the classic Aspen story. And we've been able to build just an amazing life. It's a beautiful place to land.
Yes. Yes. Well, I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad you're part of our practitioner community, because you do have so much to offer. And we're going to explore that in a little while here. I know that you had a career as a businesswoman for a number of years. And do you want to say a little about that and how that experience influenced your life and your stepping out to another career path?
I'm so grateful that I feel supremely grounded. And even though I work in the world of shifting energy and mindset changing, everything in, this relates so deeply to my being a business person and being successful in sales. And, I loved what I did my whole life. Like, I have always been in sales. I've sold real estate, I've sold amazing jewelry, and I've sold incredible contemporary art. And I feel that the history of sales is really what set me up to be a really effective hypnotist, because it's really all the power of suggestion. And if a person is committed to making a change in their life and they tell me I want to be healthier, or I need to be more motivated at work or something, I can use that power of suggestion with hypnosis to help them achieve what their goals and desires are. And I feel really good about that. But even though I'm a hypnotist, I think that I'm a really grounded sort of individual. I can't live too much in the world of angels, because that's really not me. Even though I feel like I can bring that out in myself and others when it's necessary, I'm really grateful for how rooted in business I am. And I attribute that to my parents, who are scientists as well. Hypnosis is science at its root, and how to influence the mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've spoken before prior to this interview, and I know you had a very significant life event 4 or 5 years ago that really catapulted you into a new place of being in the world. Do you want to share some of that?
I would love to. Thank you. Yeah, I've had a few life events. I've had 3 cases where I was very close to dying. And it's really interesting when you look your life sort of in the eye and say to yourself, okay, this is my time. There is a moment of surrender where it's like, okay, this is not in my hands. This is so completely out of my control. And rather than being panicked in that moment, it's quite beautiful to just surrender to what may be. I feel like my journey on earth was not done. And 4 years ago, I had a deadly stroke. that was more akin to an aneurysm than a stroke. But when my husband was called by the doctors, they told him, we don't know if she's going to make it. It's interesting. I was quite conscious throughout what was happening, even though I did not know I was having a stroke. I drove myself to the hospital.
Oh, my
I
heavens.
barely made it there, but I did. And then I think that through a series of really fortunate events and people, I had excellent treatment. I was airlifted to Denver quickly, and I was treated really, really well by Aspen Valley Hospital, and then by Swedish Medical in Denver. I had brain surgery, and the threat of imminent death was over, but my journey was just starting. Like I really suffered following that event, where I lost any ability to feel emotion except for anxiety and depression. I myself became suicidal, which sounds so weird in that I had survived this huge event in my life, but I woke up many days and months after post stroke feeling like I just did not even want to get through the day. And it was really challenging to get through. And so I had severe depression that I was medicated for a period of time. And then I had just off the charts anxiety. I worried about everything. I worried about cracks in my home, thinking that my home was crumbling, which actually becomes an interesting metaphor for, life experience too. But it was that challenge that directly put me on a course to try to find out, like, where is me in all of this gray, because my life had become so gray, Rita, and I couldn't see my way through it at times. And fortunately, I had some really wonderful, unexpected people who just kind of said, just keep going, just hang in there, you're going to get through this. And sometimes the only way through, like I say to people now sometimes, is sometimes the only way through the shit is to go through the shit, and you'll get through on the other side.
Just keep walking, keep walking.
Yeah.
And what was the glimmer of light that you saw that opened up the world again for you out of that grayness?
Well, let's be really clear. There were times where there was no light, and all I had to do was have faith that there was going to be light somewhere. Sometimes this is hard for me to talk about because it was such a huge impact, but it really gave me a huge amount of compassion for people who struggle with mental illness. And so I'm really grateful for the experience, as hard as it was. So the glimmer of light is really that I had tremendous faith that I'm going to get through this. I have an amazing family and an amazing circle of friends who really sometimes just pulled me through. And I just kept seeking. I kept looking for me in all of the gray, because I knew I'm not a gray person, but I kind of kept looking for me, and I was really open-minded about, what I've done in the past, which was so rooted in science and business and, just powering through, wasn't working for me. And so then I had to open my mind up to other experiences that I had previously been closed off to. And so I did some energy work with a woman in California. A friend had actually gifted me a session with her. And and her name is Alicia Doss, and she helped pick me up a little bit
Uh-huh.
and started me on a path that I kept traveling down. So I did cognitive behavioral therapy with a therapist here locally. Her name is Beth Berkeley, and she was fantastic for just helping me get back on my feet to recognize that, I just have to keep going through and I am okay. And that really helped in the moment with my anxiety. Every time my anxiety started churning and I had the mental sort of uh, spiraling, she taught me, put up a stop sign and hold it up and just say to yourself, I am okay. In this moment, I am here. I'm surviving. I'm good. I'm okay. And that was really a gift for me. So then the medication that I was put on for a period of time just sort of calmed my brain down to the point where I became a little bit more rational rather than irrational. And so that was a gift for me. And I had another woman, also local, who helped me with a form of trauma therapy called EMDR, which is used a lot for PTSD. And that was Janelle Duhan, who was so lovely and gave me so much of her time with EMDR. And that was powerful, a
Mm-hmm.
powerful point of healing for me, and maybe even was a point in the direction of hypnosis. Um, and then through my own process of discovery, I happened to watch an interview on the Shift Network with Lisa Garr and my teacher, Dr. Linda Backman. And she was talking about past life regression therapy. And it just sort of struck a nerve for me where it was like, maybe there's something in this lesson that I'm going through that relates to karma. And so that's when I really started going deep into the world of hypnosis. And I actually decided to take her level 1 past life regression therapy course to become a hypnotherapist before I had ever been hypnotized in my own life,
Oh, how
which is kind of
interesting.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, when your compass points you in a direction that is so undeniable, I just was like, this is it. I think this is so cool. And so it satisfied my curiosity. And it was really one of the first times I got really excited about doing the next great thing in my life. And so I signed up for the class. And then I was like, well, if I'm taking this class, I better try this and see if it works. So I scheduled an appointment with her, which immediately provided me with some answers that I was seeking in my own life, and just put some puzzle pieces into place. And I was like, okay, this is the glimmer of light that I was looking for.
It's like catching the gold ring on the merry-go-round. You saw it and you caught it.
I did. And boy, Rita, I have to say, it's endlessly fascinating. I'm so intrigued by the brain and how the brain works. And I've now not only done past life regression therapy training, I'm also a RTT hypnotherapist, which is more traditional hypnotherapy for behavioral change. And then I just have completed my level 2 certification, which is for between lives regression therapy, which is really amazing, deep soul work where you're connecting with your higher self, your spirit guides and angels, and the sort of unseen beings that are around us all the time and influencing us and directing our path in life, whether or not we're aware of it. We all have them.
And I've been privileged to have a session with you on this between life, soul exploration. And I must say it was extremely powerful and affirming for things that I had forgotten were part of my life, and really brought significant things to consciousness that now I realize in order to move forward and to move forward with success in my life, I need to embody all that, because that is part of me. So I just thank you for your skilled approach into what you do, offering a place of very safe, loving atmosphere that I think for myself, I know for sure, and I'm sure for your other clients, has allows them to go to that very deep space and learn things about themselves. So I thank you.
Isn't it a process of integration, right? Like, it's just, you know, you have an idea about who you are at a deep level, that life takes you on a path, and sometimes you forget, you sort of move away, and then hypnosis can guide you back into the direction of really being integrated with who you are at your essence. It's really beautiful.
So I know your practice also includes health coaching as well as the therapy that you do. So if someone was to connect with you, how would you describe your practice to them?
It really depends on what somebody is seeking. And I help a lot of people with health issues. And, you know, I see a lot of people for smoking, and not necessarily drinking cessation, but just drinking less. People don't want to give up drinking completely, but they want to drink under more control. And hypnosis is so good for that type of things. It's actually one of the easier things I think that I do, is help people really see the negative consequences of being unhealthy, and the positive that can happen so quickly from just directing themselves onto a healthier path. And it's very affirming for me to do this work, because it's a real balance between mind, body, and spirit. And I feel like to be a whole and complete person, you have to have a healthy body, a healthy mind, and have a healthy connection to spirit. And hypnosis can open the door to all of those things in a really deep way, and for the rest of your life, and in very few sessions. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of hypnosis sessions to make some powerful life long changes. I do work with a lot of people on achieving a healthy weight and sort of more motivation to move more and exercise more. That's a longer process, because I call it more of a partnership. If I take on a weight loss client, it's somebody that is dedicated to a lifestyle of health, not just losing weight. I don't want somebody who wants to go on a diet. It's not going to work. But if somebody wants to eat better, exercise more, and make healthier choices, that can be really, really effective. I do work with a lot of people also on sort of creating the life of their dreams, which is really a personal sort of passion for me, is to sort of realize that whatever you think your perceived limitations are, you can transcend that and live the life of your dreams. And there's a quote I always say, you know, advance confidently in the direction of your dreams, and you will see the light of day unfounded, or something. You will see the light. It's a beautiful Thoreau quote.
And
About just keep pointing the compass in the direction.
And that certainly applies to your life, because that quote fits
It really
like a
does.
glove. Yes.
It really does.
So, can you say, you mentioned a couple of therapists who were really helpful for you in your recovery, and your teacher that you found for hypnotherapy. Are there other teachers that you have come across on this path that you want to mention?
Well, I think that my story is incomplete unless I mention horses as my teachers, because I'm a lifelong horse person. I've been riding competitively since I was 10 years old, and I've had challenges with horses that have nearly taken my life, that again I've overcome. But again, those challenges are what really has sort of made me the person that I am today. So there's a wonderful book called My Horses, My Teachers. And I can't even tell you the number of different horses that I've ridden and worked with in my lifetime. But if a person wants to learn more about themselves and who they are, the best way to do that is through building a relationship with horses in my life, or animals in general, or people. I mean, any one of those forays can teach you what you need to know, but you have to be willing to have humility and sort of be just completely open-minded about wanting to learn from these animals who are so much more energetic in their way that they communicate than we do as people. So I'm just eternally grateful that I've had this life experience of living with horses.
Well, I'm familiar with equine therapy because I have a couple of good friends who've been involved in that for a number of years. And also the work of heart math, we know that the heart field of a horse is huge.
It's huge.
And,
Yeah.
it's a very heart opening experience personally to step into that field with trust and with curiosity and with understanding of the power of that field and feel its influence on yourself personally.
It's such a tremendous privilege to be in the space of these incredible animals, and not just to be in the space, but to be in their good graces. Because if you can win over the love of a horse, it's almost like nothing is impossible.
Yes. And I understand that you have a beautiful animal right now that
I do. I have my horse
you
Sheldon.
acquired. Yes, Sheldon.
Sheldon. He's really a character, and he's he kind of is the horse of my dreams. I spent my whole lifetime with lots of different animals that were my teachers, but Sheldon was the horse that I feel like I dreamed him into existence, and I manifested him in my life.
Well, congratulations. And I've seen a sweet, sweet picture of you and Sheldon together. And I just, the connection is palpable, even through the photograph.
Yeah, he's really special to me, but they all are special. Like, I have relationships with many different horses still to this day, and they're all just unique personalities. And I have a couple of people that I work with their horses, and it's amazing what people can learn from watching horses and how to have an energetic exchange that is beyond words. And I think that if we can learn effective communication with a horse, we can really be more effective communicators as human beings and interpersonally.
Thanks for sharing that. That's a very important point. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your hypnotherapy practice and what you mentioned that you have a broad range of clients that you work with, but I guess I'm really interested how you got into wanting to know about the past life regression therapy.
Well, okay. So what I realized is that I needed to have an expanded toolkit. I did the past life regression therapy training, and I started seeing different clients and working with different people. And it's interesting because some people really need to focus on what's going on in this lifetime, and they're comfortable looking at this lifetime's experiences and learning from them. There are some people who need a distance from this lifetime and feel like their issues that they're struggling with, whether it's issues of relationships and not being able to find love or having blocks to their abundance, they feel very strongly that like that's something that is so deeply embedded in me. I feel as though that comes from another lifetime. I had a client early on actually who couldn't understand why she had such an issue with being told what to do. When people tell me what to do, I get so angry inside. It triggers me in an unhealthy way. And so this client really felt that it related to a past life thing or experience. And what ultimately came out very quickly in her past life session was that she was a conquistador in South America, somewhere in Peru or in Brazil. And she actually in that lifetime was a man who was a missionary, a Christian missionary, and his role was to teach the people about Christianity and God. And then when she woke up in her past life session, her entire village was being decimated and destroyed and burned. And in this powerful session, she could feel and hear and smell the village burning. And almost immediately, she looked up and there was a conquistador with a spear who realized that this priest was not happy with what was happening with the village and speared the priest through the heart and died immediately, and then went into the realm of spirit. And immediately that question was answered for this client, that's why she was so triggered in the face of adversity in this lifetime. And it sort of answered that question for her. And now that colors her life experience in this lifetime. Every past life experience that's shown to a person really relates to what's going on for them in this lifetime. And I, as the therapist, have no control over what's being shown. It's really comes from the mind and the subconscious memory of the client. Some people call it an Akashic record reading. It's very similar to that. And if you're unfamiliar with the Akashic records, it's basically your soul's book of what has happened in your life and what's going to happen in the future. So I don't technically do Akashic readings, but I think in a way what I do is more powerful. I'm helping my clients access their own records.
Yes,
and what comes out.
Yeah, bringing that into consciousness can be very influential to how they proceed in this lifetime. Yes.
Definitely. It just answers a lot of questions for people that they've always sort of wondered about. Why do I do this? What's going on here? Why can I never do I never feel like I can get ahead? Or why haven't, I found a relationship that's fulfilling to me? And past life work can really answer those questions for
Mhm.
people.
Well, these have been interesting months, with the pandemic and the challenges of COVID-19, and practitioners have had to make shifts in how they work with people and how they relate with people. How has that happened for your practice?
Well, the biggest shift is that I don't see a lot of people in person any longer. Almost 100% of my sessions over the last year have been via Zoom. And at first that was intimidating to me. I was a little uncomfortable, like, is this going to work? And what's really come to light for me, I feel like I'm a better therapist over Zoom. I struggle more now in person. If I'm doing a Zoom session, I can be a lot more organized. I have my desk that I work on, and I can write things down. And it's just, I find that the Zoom sessions are more effective for my clients. And and I also love the fact that people can be in their own homes in a space where they're really comfortable. They can be snuggled up in bed and relaxed, and we can do the session. And then I don't worry about them driving afterwards, because, that's a real concern of mine when I see somebody in person is, okay, are they still in the mental space where they're not quite grounded? And so with a Zoom session, I just tell people, you know what, journal about your experience and have a nice cup of tea and just relax at home and just stay safe. And then I don't worry.
Mhm.
So COVID has been very good for my business, and also just really making me super effective over a Zoom session.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful to hear. And of course, your clients are from all over the globe.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. It's really fun because I think the furthest away I've done sessions for is somebody in the Philippines, but that's pretty far.
The other side of the world, my heavens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, Say a little more about the between life process and
Okay. So this is my newest sort of modality. And here's the thing. I had never researched what a between life regression session was about when I had my own. So I went into a session with Linda Backman, and the session was so unique to me. And, and it was weird, honestly. It was a little confusing for me. You had a between life session. And I think, Rita, because you've been more invested in this world of healing energetically and on the soul level, you were so comfortable in that space. And honestly, I wasn't. I had no idea what was going on in that. It's the space that we go, it's sort of our soul home. It's where our soul goes when we die. And that was something that was so completely foreign to me. Um, and so I didn't know what to expect. So my session, when I was in hypnosis, felt a little stilted. I didn't really even know what I was saying. And I didn't remember my session afterwards. The only way I was able to recall my session is Linda had sent me a recording of my session. So I was able to listen to it again. And then I got fascinated and I started reading, because there's lots of books about, Michael Newton wrote a book about between life regression and the soul's journey. And so then I started reading lots of books out there. And what I found, which was fascinating to me, is that my experience, which was unique to me, also shared a lot of commonality with what other people experience in the realm of soul. And that surprised me, but it also really validated the experience, which was interesting because I thought, okay, I was totally blind going into this. So I had no expectations for what I was or wasn't going to experience. And I was confused when I was under hypnosis. But then when I woke up and we processed the session, Linda assured me that I did fine and it was all good. Um, but and then when I started doing my own sort of process of discovery, I realized that, you know, if there's a shared experience that we go into this realm of the soul, and it has to do with color, energy, and vibration. And I don't want to say too much about the experience because
Right.
I want every person out there to have their own sort of experience of their soul's home. But it's really powerful work that really aligns you with your mission. And you said that yourself. You had forgotten sort of what you're supposed to do this turn around the sun. And now it's so much clearer to you. Okay, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it really just, it continues to point your compass in the right direction of what your soul is supposed to be doing. And
Yes,
it's not always, it's very different from person to person. And it doesn't
right.
have to be something big or grandiose. You know what I mean? It's like, it can be something as simple as I need to learn more about loving myself or forgiveness. It doesn't have to be a huge, grandiose mission. Like I have to go be Oprah Winfrey and change the world. Not at all.
No, it can be just learning that deep, deep, deep trust of self and the allies that this self has in this journey at this time. So I must say that the session reminded me what I was maybe being confused with is that I'd lost trust in what this journey was supposed to be. So the session really brought me back to what we call the direction, the North Star. I can see the North Star now. So
Awesome. That is so great. I love hearing that. And yeah, and we all have our own version of the North Star. And it's really up to the individual to find out what that is.
Yes. Mhm. So if people want to connect with you, what is the name of your business? How do people find you? And I'll make sure that this also gets in print on our Facebook page and our web page so people know. But tell us how we can connect with you.
I think I'm pretty easy to find. My name is Michelle Bryan, Bryan. I have a personal Facebook page as well as a Michelle Bryan hypnosis page. That's how everybody seems to be finding me these days. I am always in developing my website. I have not finished that yet or launched a website just because I've been too invested in doing my actual work. So that is in the development stages. But right now, the easiest way to find me is through Facebook or through connections like with you and Davina Kent. I'm also a member of Aspen Business Connect. So I think if you go online and just Google Michelle Bryan, I think that you'll find me.
Good. And how long is a session usually?
An RTT session for behavioral change is 2 hours. approximately. Past life regression session is also 2 hours. A between life session is a much deeper level of hypnosis, and that is about a 3.5 to 4 hour session.
Uh-huh. Okay, that's good information because people need to know what the time commitment is for them to invest in this. Yes.
I think it's important to say I do offer a free consultation. I love to talk to people to really build a rapport and a comfort level before we even do a hypnosis session, answer any questions that people may have about the session, and any concerns or worries that somebody may have. But hypnosis is really interesting. It's me dialoguing with your subconscious, and we are having a conversation. It is nothing intimidating, and I can never make a person do anything that they're not already invested in doing. And that's where the power of suggestion comes in.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a very influential form of therapy that you're offering, and I'm so glad we've had this opportunity to go into more depth so more people can find out about you and your practice. Is there anything else you'd like to share with folks before we close off this morning?
I just encourage people to be really open-minded and to explore modalities like this. I know how powerful hypnosis is, for me personally, but for my clients too. I mean, change happens really quickly, and then it continues to evolve over time. And I think that people that have a hypnosis session have immediate positive changes, but the real story is told about a year later when life just looks completely different.
Very, very good point. Yes. And what you had said previously about really from your own experience, understanding what it feels like to be in depression, to be in states of anxiety. And I know that so many people are in that place because of the COVID and the shutdowns and the lack of social contact with each other. So I think that has what you offer with that is really something.
Hold on just a second, Rita. Jay, can you take that out, babe? That's kind of loud. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. I just have something going on behind me here.
It's okay. But what you said about your own experience with the anxiety and the depression, I think we know so many people are being challenged with those issues right now. So what you offer is a hopeful place for people to quickly, potentially through the hypnosis process, move through those energies.
It really is. Okay, so the way I think about this is your conscious mind is what we think is in control, but the reality is it's actually your subconscious mind that is the captain of the ship. And so if you're consciously saying, I know I can feel better. I don't know why I'm so depressed. I shouldn't be depressed. There's nothing in my life that should be depressing me. I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed. That's the words that you are telling yourself. But if your subconscious has something in it that is holding you back from not feeling like you're your best, hypnosis can bring your two minds into alignment. And that's really what I try to do, is make your subconscious and your conscious sort of on the same path.
Friend each other, befriend each other.
Right.
Yes.
Because if they're fighting, it's not going to work. Sorry, I flipped off for a second. So if the two minds aren't in agreement, they're going to, your subconscious is always going to win.
Well, I really appreciate the time that you spent with me today and gotten to know even more about you than I did know previously. And I'm so happy to be able to offer this opportunity to say Michelle Bryan, hypnotherapist, past life regression therapist, between soul regression
Between
therapist,
lives.
between
Yeah.
lives. Regression therapist is the practitioner of the month for February for the Center for Human Flourishing, otherwise known as Davina Kent. So, Michelle, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure being with you this morning.
Thank
Blessings.
you so much, Rita. I really appreciate your time. Thank you. I'm
Many
very
blessings.
grateful.
Yes.
Thank you so much.